How did an embargo on bird poop inadvertently contribute to the Holocaust? How did mammals end up with an eye inside their brain? Can you snap somebody's neck like in the movies? Learn the truth behind these and much more in my new book, Facts That Aren't True. Link in the description. I see a lot of misinformation and misunderstanding and nefarious spreading of misinformation, I guess, and I want to combat it.
Okay. Right on. Um, so I don't know that's going to be the same kind of debate that you've had, or even if it'll really be a debate. I'm just trying to pose a question. I agree with you that there's no scientific evidence of God.
Right.
So my query is just more along the lines of, it seems as though you're taking a position of certainty that because there's no scientific evidence, that the position that it means it is not true is the righteous one, and I disagree with that.
Well, I've never said that.
Okay, cool. That's clarifying.
I don't think there are any. I've never heard a good reason to believe that a God exists. So for me, it's kind of like comparing working models. One, there isn't one, and the other. I mean, I'm not really. That would sort of sound like me saying science is a working model that says God doesn't exist. What I would really say is science without any God assumptions is a perfectly working model, and inserting God does nothing for it. I'd say more so that.
Yeah, I agree with that when it comes to religious, dogmatic God. The one place that I would find I believe a gateway to a somewhat reasonable conversation about the subject would be consciousness. I guess my question would be to pose: Can you make a logical argument that scientifically proves that you are conscious?
I don't think I could prove it to you, but I don't think any whatever framework you adopt, whether it's like metaphysical or whatever, you're not going to be able to prove to third parties somebody else's consciousness. That's actually I released kind of a long video where I talked about this kind of thing the other day, but I really don't understand. Now I can give you like a physicalist, materialist, whatever, accounting working model for consciousness, a very good one, but I can't tell you what a thought is composed of necessarily, what it's made of, if qualia is exactly what it is. You know, I can't do that, but I do still think we have an extremely robust working model.
We've got a few of them. I would say that the academic community is probably more intellectually honest about the mystery and gaps in our understanding of how consciousness exists, or our lack of understanding of how it exists, than it ever has been. I mean, you go right now and listen to Harvard lectures about the places where we don't understand. There's some really good working theories, though.
Yeah, it sounds like you're saying we think we know less than ever now.
No, definitely not saying that. I'm saying
Oh,
there's more admission that we don't have a solid answer yet.
um, okay. I'm not totally sure if I agree with that because
You think we do
depends
have a
on what you
solid
mean, I
answer?
guess. But like we know so much, So like, what do you think consciousness is an argument for God's existence?
No,
Oh,
no, I
okay.
don't.
What are your
I do
thoughts?
think it's a pathway to a reasonable conversation between someone who doesn't believe in God and somebody who does, if we can allow the um, space for what God means to be different than as it's defined by religious institutions and typical understanding. I don't
Um,
believe there's a man in the sky who's watching
sure,
over me and judging my actions.
sure. So what would be your I'm gonna sound like Justin. What would be your most compelling reason for why the God you believe in exists?
I believe personally that science can't account for love. I think it can account for physiological phenomena and chemistry that occurs as love is occurring, as we experience different emotions. I don't believe that that's causal, though. And I don't think that there's a good argument to prove that it's causal. I think I'm
Well,
excited that it's still being explored
I mean,
because it is.
don't you think that people who just have total it's not anhedonia, what's the word, it's not psychopathy either, but there are people that are like almost incapable of feeling emotion toward
Yeah,
things, and we
totally.
understand that this is a neurological thing.
Hmm.
So doesn't that really undermine the necessity for God to, like, if this is a puzzle, I would say, God, we have 0 pieces. Um, whereas science, well, let's say like it's 1,000 piece puzzle. Let's say we got like 50 pieces, more than nothing.
Yeah. No, I don't. I don't think it does. I'm also not saying that what I've said thus far is a good argument for God. I'm just kind of trying to set the stage for the difference between my position on what God is or why I believe God is and somebody, say, who was raised in a church and arrives at that conclusion.
Well, I asked what your best argument or evidence would be.
I'm going to be real with you. I don't think I could present you evidence. I don't think it's a thing that could be proven through linear reasoning in any fashion, or that we'll ever
Okay,
find scientific evidence for it. I think the
fine with that.
subjective experience is the only place it'll be found, and the biggest barrier to that being anything tangible or meaningful to
I would say
people that are
useful.
walled off to it, useful to somebody who's walled off to it, is the assumption that because subjective experience is subjective, that it's less valuable than what is objective, which is understandable in a materialist paradigm and from a scientific perspective. But I think there's a big gap in that. Most people are a lot more governed by their subjective experience than by objective reasoning. Most people,
That's probably true, but
indisputable.
I mean, if you and I are agreeing on what the evidence is, then I would still say we're both leaning on a subjective experience. It's just that we agree on the evidence. So there's like objectivity has entered the chat, I would say, but you could still, you could still say it's coming from a subjective um, place at the same time, I guess. So,
Yeah, it has to be. I think that
I mean,
it's very
did
embodied
you
by
did you like want
quantity.
to like go back and forth on anything? Because so you say you don't have any evidence, and that's fine. I don't care. I'm not
I mean,
gonna be
I
like,
do.
haha, he doesn't have evidence, or
I do,
anything
but it's
like
all
that. But
I do, but it's all anecdotal, and it's not anything that would hold up in a fucking court of science.
right, or
It's
well, I mean,
personal experience and shared experience, and I think that I don't think that I don't think that negates it.
hi,
I
kitty
think we're
cat.
just at a point where we don't have a comprehensive enough working model of the universe to include subjective experience wholly into that model. I think the best that we can do so far is write it off as essentially like hallucinations, but I don't think that's true. And I don't think anybody really meaningfully believes that's true because nobody operates their life that way. So even the people who are in lab settings and academic settings who are have the discipline to intellectually stay in those lanes, not stray outside of them and look at the evidence that's there and say, well, when I look at the physics and when I look at the biology, I can witness neurological chemistry. I can witness fucking these things in correlation with mental activity. And when I put that into the picture of the rest of the working model we have of the universe, that's a fairly decent working model. Is that subjective experience is kind of a side effect of the rest of what's going on in the universe. But nobody lives that way, you know? And
You're saying nobody thinks that they're anything other than a bag of molecules?
I don't think anybody lives like they're nothing but a bag of molecules.
I mean, maybe that's true, but I think you can live that way, because I can think I am nothing but a bag of molecules, but I can think that I still have personal preferences. And so I, like, despite the fact that I don't think I'm anything other than that, I can still value things, including my own existence, my cat, whatever else, Mountain Dew Code Red. You can still, I think you can, like, I don't know. I don't think a reductionist, materialist worldview or anything like that, got cat hair everywhere, precludes deriving meaning in anything. It can lead to some sort of like nihilism or whatever, but whatever. I got like 11 other people that want to talk about something, so I think I'll have to try to see what they want to say.